Tonight, Chief Justice Martha Koome has reconstituted the IEBC Reconstitution Panel on the same day that we've seen drama and political action at DAPK Kenya offices. Good evening and a very warm welcome to this broadcast, the Daily Report, on this 27th day of January 2025. My name is George Maringa. On sign language interpretation is Catherine Simaloy. Tonight we'll also be having a conversation on State of the Nation. My guests, Geoffrey Ruku, as well as who is the Member of Parliament for Mbeere North, as well as Joe Nyoto, Senator Muranga, and Daisy Mdani, Executive Director, Crown Trust. Please go ahead and engage us on the socials. We look forward to hearing from you and any questions you may have for our guests tonight. But before then, here is a sneak peek of what is making headlines tonight. Tonight, Gachagua, Kalonzo, Wamalwa hint at forming a coalition ahead of 2027.
Kama huyu mtu ametuumiza namna hii first term, kwa bahati mbaya akirudi second term, tutakuwa tunavaa vinyasa. Sasa nyinyi tafuta marafiki, mtafute formula, na hatutaki kujua ni nani.
They have vowed to work towards facing President Ruto on the ballot. Also tonight, IEBC reconstitution kicks off as selection panel is sworn in. The panel has been urged to fast-track the process. Plus, over 60 students of Kaliet School hospitalized after suspected food poisoning.
Most of the students presented with complaints of abdominal pain, mostly at the epigastrium, that is just below the chest, and a few had diarrhea.
And Police IG Douglas Kanja obtains orders to skip court appearance. LSK wants him to produce 2 missing persons. We are broadcasting from the headquarters of TV47 in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. You can find us on @TV47 News KE, @George Maringa _. Welcome to those of you watching us on terrestrial platforms as well as YouTube and our social media platforms. We thank you for joining us. The hashtag is Daily Report. 9 members of the IEBC selection panel have been sworn in, ready to start the recruitment of the electoral body. The panel will now start the process after days of court battles. Joash Onsare opens our broadcast tonight with that report.
The bodies which are nominating more than 2 persons.
Through a special Gazette notice on Monday, President William Ruto appointed the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission (IEBC) selection panel to oversee the process of selecting IEBC commissioners. The move comes 3 years after a delay in the appointment that has caused a heated political standoff over numerous court and political disputes. President Ruto appointed Kiome Linda Gaki, Olo Adams, James Evans Misati, Nicodemus Kipchirchir Bore, Ambassador Koki Muli Grignon, Caroline Kituku, Tanui Andrew Kipkoech, Nelson Makanda, and Fatuma Saman to be members of the panel. In the notice, President Ruto also revoked the earlier notice of selection panel that was gazetted in 2023.
I, Kipkoech Andrew Tanui, having been appointed as a member of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission selection panel.
The 9 were sworn into office at the Supreme Court building on Monday morning.
The responsibility you assume today is not just a legal function. It is a solemn call to serve the people of Kenya and safeguard the integrity of our democracy. The credibility of elections defines the stability of a nation. And history has shown us that when elections are free, fair, and transparent, our country flourishes.
National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula has urged the panel to speed up the process of recruiting new IEBC commissioners.
Order. Member for Busia.
In a statement on Monday, January 27, 2025, Wetangula noted that the mandate of recruiting IEBC chairperson and other commissioners is of huge national importance. He also directed Parliamentary Service Commission PSC Secretary Jeremiah Nyengenye to facilitate the work of the IEBC selection panel in line with the law. Wetangula has also instructed the Secretary to the Parliamentary Service Commission, Mr. Jeremiah Nyengenye, to put in place all the necessary arrangements required to facilitate the work of the panel as obligated by the law.
The oath you have taken today is a solemn pledge to Kenya and to serve Kenya with unwavering commitment to the rule of law and the Constitution, which must remain your true north.
The 9-member panel is supposed to ensure that the electoral body is led by commissioners who are impartial, qualified, and capable of conducting free and fair elections.
So we want to tell the people that have been given responsibility to actually work as quick as possible and make sure that we get our commissioners in office.
Joash Onsare, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Joash. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, DAP-K's Eugene Wamalwa are now working together to face President William Ruto on the ballot in 2027. The three accused the government of corruption during the launch of DAP-K Kenya offices in Nairobi. And as Mike Kagwongo now reports, Gachagua says he parted ways with President Ruto after the two could not agree on a number of government projects.
The 2027 political train has once again taken a new turn after the opposition leaders Monday afternoon held a consultative meeting to strengthen their political ambitions. It was during Democratic Action Party's unveiling of new offices in Karen when the former second-in-command unleashed fresh battle with his former boss, whom he described as a political deceiver. Gachagua accusing the government of corruption.
And we sympathize with you because juzi kumekuwa na opinion poll on the most corrupt person in the world. And we are unhappy that you are rigged. Instead of giving you number one, they gave you number two.
This, he says, follows a series of corruption activities he witnessed during his tenure as the second deputy president.
And there are two watu wawili, moja anaitwa Adil na mwingine anaitwa Jayesh. These are the conveyors of corruption in this country. Na ndio watu wenye she and sha. Ndio wale watu ya adani.
In his attacks on President William Ruto, the former Mathira legislator warned Mulembe Nation from what he termed as politics of deceit, indicating how Mount Kenya residents fell in a trap.
He called all of us. Alikuwa anakuja, wahadharia osho. Sasa amekuja kwenu, musangarere. Mwimalamu. That is the same script. Nyinyi mukikubali, mutalia vile watu ya mlima wanalia.
He said the controversial housing levy will be abolished once his preferred candidate take office in 2027, following its backlash from both the civil servants and employed Kenyans. Gachagua recalled receiving a phone call from the president's aide questioning his silence on the controversial Adani deal and alleged failure to defend government projects.
Kwa nini huyo nyonka alilima serikali mambo ya Adani and you are not defending? Nikamwambia I cannot answer you. Tell your boss to call me. So president amenifikia, nimemwambia mimi siwezi. That thing is corruption. I cannot defend it, Mr. President.
The new coalition will include Gachagua, Wiper's Kalonzo Musyoka, DAP-K's Eugene Wamalwa, NARC Kenya's Martha Karua, and former Interior CS Fred Matiang'i.
Will open the space so that as many parties as are willing will join this wonderful, wonderful winning team.
That we are starting a new journey.
we are opening a new chapter, the formation of a new coalition that is going to form the next government of the Republic of Kenya.
Yesterday, Dr. Fred Matiang'i called me from where he is. Na wale ambao hawajui, amepewa kazi na World Bank kule Latin America, ambaye alikuwa amepatiwa agreement. Sasa ameamua atawachilia hiyo kazi, atarudi Kenya.
The team, however, says it continues engaging with different stakeholders with the same ambitions to ousted what they termed as a corrupt regime. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Mike. Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki has noted that the bursaries standoff between the governors and the control of budget will be resolved. Speaking during the 26th ordinary session of the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council (IBEC) at his current residence office, the DP has outlined 7 golden key areas that are aimed at transforming the Kenyan economy during the tenure of President William Ruto.
During the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council meeting with the Council of Governors, Deputy President Kithure Kindiki noted that the standoff on bursaries between governors and the control of budget will be resolved.
I know we have some differences of opinion around the issue of education support by county governments, which is part of today's agenda, and I'm sure, will find some consensus around the issue one way or the other.
The bursaries funding recently elicited mixed reactions from governors who noted that thousands of students who have benefited from the program will be locked out from getting education. While chairing the 26th ordinary session of IBEC at his current residence, Kindiki outlined 7 golden key areas that are aimed at transforming the Kenyan economy during the tenure of President William Ruto.
I am happy to note that generally the economic situation is getting stable. The indicators of macroeconomic stability are beginning to coalesce and stabilize.
The areas of focus include microeconomic stability, revitalization of critical value chains, and infrastructure support such as roads, markets, county aggregation, and industrial parks, as well as special economic zones. He added that reduced rate of inflation, reduction in food prices, reduced petroleum prices, and reduced cost of living point towards a healthy and steady economy.
We now need to collaborate and support one another in delivering is microeconomic stability, improving household incomes.
Governors, led by Council of Governors Chair Ahmed Abdullahi, called on the government to consider timely disbursement of county funds to boost county service delivery to Kenyans.
Debt management has always been a concern for counties because of the fact that debt is a first charge on the revenues that are to be shared.
Joash Onsare, TV47, Nairobi.
Let's now look at matters in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where member states from the East African community will conduct a high-level emergency meeting on Wednesday to address the escalating war in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. This comes as thousands of residents of Goma in eastern DRC have been forced to flee their homes following claims of the M23 rebels capturing Goma. Sheila Chelangat reports.
M23 rebels are said to have seized control of Goma, the largest city in eastern DRC, forcing hundreds of residents in Goma to flee their homes. This escalating the humanitarian situation in the area, hence the several calls from the international community for parties to prioritize peace.
A comprehensive review.
On Monday, President William Ruto, who chairs the East African Community, announced an emergency high-level meeting to address the worrying state of security in the eastern DRC.
We have agreed under the framework of the East African Community to convene an urgent extraordinary meeting and summit on the situation in Eastern DRC on Wednesday.
Rwanda has, however, since been accused of supporting the March 23 movement by the Congo government. Rwanda, in its defense, denies such support and faults the Congo government for failing to protect its citizens by entering a dialogue with the M23.
President Paul Kagame and President Felix Tshisekedi, and both of them have confirmed their participation in the summit on Wednesday.
President Ruto further says he has spoken to President Emmanuel Macron of France on the situation and pledged support for the regional efforts to deal with the challenge. France says it will support the interventions being carried out and for Kenya's participation in other peace initiatives in Somalia, Sudan and South Sudan.
So there is a complicated situation there. It is my belief that this engagement is absolutely necessary because we do not see, from where I sit, a possibility of a military solution to the challenges that faced Eastern DRC.
Meanwhile, in Kenya, Jambojet Airline has suspended Nairobi to Goma flights, citing increasing safety concerns and closure of the airspace. Sheila Chelangat for TV47.
Thank you, Sheila, for that. At least 60 students from Kaliet Secondary School in Kericho County have reportedly suffered from stomach pain after eating lunch yesterday. Kinto Wafula reports that the affected students were taken to Londiani Sub-County Hospital today, where they are receiving treatment.
At Londiani Hospital in Kericho County, students were rushed to receive medical attention. The cause of the illness appears to be stomach pains reported after consuming lunchtime meals.
Tulisikia walikonjeka kwa ajili ya vyakula ambayo waliweza kula jana mchana. So kufikia jioni ndiposa walipelekwa hospitali ya private Kaliet Clinic. Mwishowe wakaanza kukonjeka ndiposa wakakuja leo asubuhi mpaka Londiani Sub-County Hospital.
The students reportedly ate githeri, a mixture of maize and beans, for lunch yesterday, after which they began experiencing severe stomach pains. This prompted teachers to act swiftly by seeking medical solutions for the students.
Most of the students presented with complaints of abdominal pain, mostly at the epigastrium, that is just below the chest. And a few had diarrhea.
The medical officer in charge at Londiani Hospital explained that among the 47 students brought in this morning, 9 were boys, while 38 were girls, and after medical support, all are in stable condition.
So we've managed to treat all of them, and all of them are in stable conditions, and they've all received medications ranging from antibiotics to fluids to analgesics.
A call has now been made to school administrators and other stakeholders to prioritize food safety in meal preparation to prevent such incidents in the future.
Wanakamati wa shule na principal wazingatie mambo ya usafi, waone wale ambao wanatengeneza vyakula vya watoto wazingatie mambo ya usafi.
Kinto Wafula, TV47.
Thank you, Kinto. Kenyatta University students took to the streets, blocking a section of the Thika superhighway on Monday, protesting over a week-long blackout in their hostel. The students blocked the highway, causing a major traffic gridlock as they barricaded both sides of the busy highway, as Chichi Josephine now details.
Kenyatta University students took to the streets, blocking a section of the Thika superhighway on Monday, protesting a week-long blackout in their hostels, popularly known as KM. The said area is said to have experienced power outage for over 2 weeks now, leading to students issuing an ultimatum to the relevant authorities regarding power restoration.
Naomba hivi, sisi hiyo maneno yote tumesikia kutoka kwenu. Napeleka wapi? Tunapeleka information. Ndio tuone stima imefanya nini, imerudi. Sababu haja yetu kubwa ni stima. Na stima ni haki yenu.
The demos began after students and residents of KM expressed their dissatisfaction with authorities regarding the blackout.
Kwa sasa tutulie, tuweke amani. Patie KPLC wafanye hiyo kazi yao na warudishe stima kwa haraka.
Motorists had to seek alternative routes as authorities worked quite hard to restore normalcy, even as the students threatened to go on with their protest if their demands are not heard. Chichi, Josephine, TV47.
Thank you, Chichi. The year 2024 has been labelled the deadliest year for women in nearly a decade, with 170 women tragically losing their lives. A report released earlier today reveals that over 100 of these women were killed by people they knew, including partners, ex-partners, and close relatives. Stakeholders are now calling for urgent action to address the alarming rise in these cases. Andrin Kilemi with the details.
2024 was the deadliest year on record for Kenyan women, and unfortunately, there is no sign of things slowing down. This is according to Patricia Andago, the lead researcher on the Silencing Women Project, a groundbreaking initiative documenting femicide in Kenya. Key findings from the 2024 report released Monday indicate a staggering 170 cases documented in 2024 alone, double the annual average recorded from 2016 to 2023. The report further states that justice remains slow, with an average case duration of 4 years, from court filing verdict in 2024 up from slightly over 3.5-year average between 2016 and 2023.
Sometimes even when these issues are reported, it does not get, the attention it deserves. So we need to enhance the public education more and more.
Nairobi, Kiambu, and Nakuru counties recorded the highest incidences of female murders, whereas Kisii, Kitui, Meru, and Nyeri counties are new entrants to the top 10 counties with killings recorded. The report shows that relationships are dangerous for women, as many are killed by people known to them. 48% of those killed in 2024 were killed by their husbands, 29% were killed by their boyfriends, 14.5% by their family members, while 3.2% were killed by a friend or someone known to them.
The largest perpetrators of femicide are intimate partners, partners known to the victims. And therefore, it will always be advisable to have an alternative shelter for the victims.
Most of these killings took place at home, public spaces, workplaces, while 15% of the killings took place in unknown areas. Girls aged between 18 years are the majority murder victims, while those above 50 years of age are less targeted.
Such cases are
Stakeholders in social justice are now calling for urgent collaboration between the government, non-governmental organizations, and communities at large to put an end to these killings that continue to devastate families and society.
The truth of the matter is the triggers of this kind of violence that is being experienced in our country is alarming and requires, as the chairperson has just said, new strategies on how to change the mindset.
They have emphasized the need for stricter enforcement of existing laws, increased support for survivors of gender-based violence, and awareness campaigns to challenge societal norms. Andrin Kilemi, TV47.
Thank you, Andrin. Attorney General Dorcas Oduor has called for accountability and transparency in government institutions to restore the faith of the public in these institutions. Further, she has stated that the Office of the Attorney General has expanded to 15 more counties as it aims to be more impactful to the general public and projects to reach more counties by June this year.
We are also supposed to look at integrity, accountability, and transparency in our organizations. so that when we are evaluated, we can enhance the faith that the society has in us. And at the same time, we can achieve our core mandate under the Constitution in a manner that is transparent, accountable, and has integrity. And maybe I didn't mention also that the Office of the Attorney General has expanded to 15 more counties, over and above the 13, so we are now in 28 counties. We want to see how these sagas can be present in those 28 counties, especially the National Legal Aid Services, the Power of Mercy Committee. All the sagas under the Attorney General should have a desk in the Office of the Attorney General in all the 28 counties, and by June we'll move to other counties so that we're in all the 47 counties. So we want to share resources.
The Ministry of Agriculture, in collaboration with a section of non-governmental institutions across Africa, have held training for plant health officers on pest monitoring and detection information management through modern science and digital technology. The training aims to boost crop production and the economy. Anastasia Mukabi with more details.
Over 30% of crop yield is destroyed yearly by crop pests, affecting the livelihood of farmers and the economy. To combat this, the government, in partnership with non-governmental organizations across Africa, held a training for plant health officers for pest control.
The purpose of this training is to train our inspectors on pest surveillance, how to manage them, diagnose, and so on.
The 5 days training, happening at Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Service KEFI's headquarters, aims to equip plant health officers across English-speaking countries in Africa with modern science and digital technology on pest monitoring and early detection skills developed under the Africa Phytosanitary Program.
PP is actually an initiative of IPPC Secretariat that is aiming to boost agricultural production in Africa. IPPC mandate and mission is to safeguard agriculture and facilitate safe trade.
You know, Kenya is a role model when it comes to phytosanitary issues in Africa, and by holding this training here, we hope to build the capacity of inspectors and other phytosanitary agents on how to conduct surveillance to ensure that we put in place early warning system to prevent crop losses.
This initiative will contribute to strengthening Africa's capacity to protect plants and crops resources from pests, improve the livelihood of farmers and the economy. Anastasia Mukabi, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you so much, Anastasia, for that report, which leads us to our first short commercial break right here on the Daily Report. Up next is more news, and also when we come back, Mheshimiwa Geoffrey Ruku, as well as the Maringa Senator, will also be here for that discussion on State of the Nation, State of Politics. Mheshimiwa Ruku is already in studio. Please do stand by for that and much more after this break. Do stay with us.
Are you ready to elevate your business game?
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
Kama wewe ni mfanyabiashara, huwezi kaa bure, unajipanga taratibu vile inavyofaa.
Join us each week as we dive into the stories of the world's most driven entrepreneurs.
When you pay attention to detail,
you get luxury items.
The Grind, where business meets brilliance. Tune in every Monday at 7:30 p.m. because your business deserves the best.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2. What position were you? Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwa watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
35 minutes past the hour. Welcome back. You're watching the Daily Report with me, George Maringa, and Catherine Simaloy on Sign Language Interpretation. The discussion now begins, and I'm delighted to introduce my guests tonight, none other than Geoffrey Ruku on my immediate right. He is the Member of Parliament for Mbeere North, as well as Mheshimiwa Joe Nyoto, the Senator for Murang'a County. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I'll begin with you, perhaps, Mheshimiwa Geoffrey. Yes. What do you make of today's action, especially, and I would like to pick your reaction from what you've seen at the DAPK offices, the Deputy President and the coalition seeking that he is in, and the spilling of beans that we are seeing. What do you make of all that you've seen today?
For those who have been around for some time within the Kenyan political space, from 1992 all the way to now, there's nothing new. These are political gymnastics which have been there for years. From the time we were talking about multi-party democracy, the time of Matipa, the time of Mwai Kibaki, we used to see all manner of formations. But today is one of the weakest formations Kenya has ever seen in the history of multi-party democracy. Because these are faces which have been there, except the face of one Rigathi Gachagua. This is a guy who has been a Member of Parliament for 5 years and a Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya for 2 years. Kalonzo Musyoka has been there for 40 years. Eugene Wamalwa has been there for years. He has served in many ministries, and he can't show Kenyans what he has done, even to his people of Western. Kalonzo Musyoka has been there for more than 40 years. He has nothing to show what he has done to the Republic of Kenya. So there is nothing new which can come out of this coalition. And instead of them going to say how they are going to balkanize the Kenyan population in terms of tribes or region to acquire power, they should be telling Kenyans what they are going to do different with what the current government is doing. I didn't hear anything on what they are to offer to Kenyans. Instead, they are talking about canvas led by Kalonzo Musyoka, sit down, bring people together. Kikuyus led by Rigathi Gachagua, sit down, bring people together. Western, the Ruyas. I mean, we can't go to the ethnicity type of politics. We should be talking about the issues affecting Kenyans and the solutions which you are going to offer as a leader. Kalonzo Musyoka has been there for years. What are the problems which you have solved? Give us examples. Eugene Wamalwa, you have been a minister in more than 5 ministries. Tell us what you have done. Rigathi Gachagua has been there for 2 years. Tell us what you have done to the people of Kenya when you got an opportunity to serve them in one of the IS offices in the Republic of Kenya. Nothing. Totally nothing. He was given an opportunity to take care of coffee and tea. Instead, he went ahead to form his companies which he was saying they must get 3 shilling per kilo for every coffee sold from this country, for every tea auction in Mombasa. So it's about enriching himself. It's about selfish in the name of a community. I think this is type of politics which we have to ensure is not going to survive in this republic for the posterity of the future generations.
Mheshimiwa Nyoto, your quick reaction to what we've seen today.
Thank you very much, Maringa. And I've listened to my colleague, Honorable Roko, just before I react to what he has said. I personally attended that particular function, and I was there. And I've heard Roko say that there's nothing new that this particular coalition in quotes is offering. But this is a coalition united against the issues that affect Kenyans, against a government that is oppressing Kenyans, against a government that is abducting and killing young people, against a government that has brought so many programs that do not benefit Kenyans, programs that are actually punishing Kenyans. And I want Honorable Roko, when he comes back, not to be evasive. This is an issue-oriented coalition. It's not, and when Honorable Roko says that it's based on tribes, I mean, these are Kenyans. They come from different parts of this country. Of course, everybody in this country belongs to a particular tribe. I mean, why it should be like when Ruto and Raila come together, that's not tribalism. But when especially the Kikuyu community come together, that's tribalism, then I think that's a very tired argument that we have had over very many years. I mean, we have been hearing about it. And I had my friend, Honorable Roko, dismiss it as the weakest coalition. And he has given us some historical background, which is good. I also want to remind him that in 2001, when Michael Kijana Wamalwa, Mwai Kibaki, Charity Gilu came together and they were holding those arena talks, of course, the Rokos of that time were dismissing it as a very weak coalition. But as fate would have it, that is the coalition, of course, joined by those that broke away from KANU. That is a coalition that brought an end to Moi's rule. Of course, Moi was going to retire that year, at the end of 2002. But then he had a project in the name of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. So it's not new to hear, the opposing side say that this is a weak coalition. And just to prove to you, Maringa, that this is not a weak coalition.
Yes.
The president went to Western Kenya for 6 days. And all he was discussing is Rigathi Gachagua. Not even the coalition. Rigathi Gachagua. Rigathi Gachagua. Rigathi Gachagua. Gachagua this, Rigathi Gachagua that. That is not somebody that is weak. If the president cannot do any meeting without mentioning your name, of course it tells you. And if he took time to listen to the issues that especially Rigathi Gachagua raised, issues, and Rigathi Gachagua was in government, and he said that there is a lot of corruption happening in State House, and he even mentioned names. And he told us that even this bill, affordable housing program, is a sham. It's just something that has been concocted to see to it that people sell cement, people sell, steel products, and that kind of thing. There are very many issues that were raised. So it is a coalition against oppression. It's a coalition against the backwardness that this government is perpetrating.
Mheshimiwa Roko, the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, while at it, served in this government, and whatever he's speaking about are things that he says he saw. Doesn't his opinion stand?
Rigathi Gachagua is telling lies to Kenyans, number one. Number two, he's one of the guys who was demanding huge amount of payment, 10 billion Kenyan shilling from President William Ruto, for his, in quote, contribution in terms of the vote, which he keep on mentioning. Even today he was talking about 47% of the government. And therefore he was demanding 10 billion Kenyan shilling from the president, in quote again, for making him the president of the Republic of Kenya. Anybody who is of sane mind, we all know that before Rigathi Gachagua was nominated as the running mate for President William Ruto, he was running for Madeira Member of Parliament, and he had already had a certificate of UDA, nomination certificate for Member of Parliament for Madeira constituency. A fellow who was running for Member of Parliament. I don't know when was the last time President William Ruto fight for parliamentary seat. It's many years ago. Yeah. And this is a guy who was preparing to be Member of Parliament for Madeira 2 years ago. And the same guy who is claiming that he helped President William Ruto to garner 47% of the vote of Mount Kenya region. It's a big lie. And this lie will be demystified in a couple of 2.5 years from now.
Okay.
Come 2027. I'm telling you, my young brother.
Yes.
The time for regional balkanization in the name of getting food is long gone. That's not the language which, not even the young generation, even our generation, who are in 40s and even in 30s, want to hear in terms of balkanizing the community. We want issues to be resolved.
Before we move
and
on,
someone who is demanding 10 billion Kenyan shillings, is he a fellow who can talk about corruption? Someone who is registering a company so that the export of tea, the export of coffee can go through his companies. Is a fellow to talk about corruption?
Mheshimiwa John Nyoto, perhaps you can react before you proceed.
Yes.
Especially on the issue of balkanization.
Yes, thank you. But I also want to respond to Honorable Ruko's claim that Rigathi Gachagua was demanding 10 billion. It's important that as a leader, that when you make an allegation of that kind of magnitude, that you produce evidence. I mean, where did Rigathi Gachagua demand 10 billion? From whom? Was Ruko there? I mean, was Ruko the emissary that was sent to collect 10 billion for Rigathi Gachagua? And from whom? Number two, he talked about that he said that Rigathi Gachagua was taking 3 shillings something per kilo, and he failed the coffee industry. I mean, Honorable Ruko, surely, if that was the case, Rigathi Gachagua should have been taken to court. You have the machinery, government machinery now. You can take him to court for corruption, for demanding 10 billion, for taking money from or demanding for money. I mean, this is not true. And when he says that Rigathi Gachagua is lying by saying that he helped President Ruto get votes from Mount Kenya, I want to challenge Honorable Ruko to bring President Ruto now that Rigathi is not in government, to bring President Ruto to Nyeri, to Maringa, to tell us whether he's still sure that President Ruto, without Rigathi Gachagua now, will get the 47% that he got.
That is just the precursor of this conversation. Before
in the month of March, President William Ruto will tour all the counties of Mount Kenya region.
Okay.
Or all the counties of Mount Kenya region. He will spend 2 weeks in Mount Kenya region, not 1 week.
Not 1 week.
Because he has been in Western for a week. He is going to spend 2 weeks in Mount Kenya region to talk about coffee, to talk about tea, to talk about the projects, road projects, Mau Mau Road, to talk about the dams, to talk about the livelihood and the economic activities of the people of Mount Kenya region.
Let's pause it for now.
For the 2 good weeks in the month of March.
Let's pause it for now. We'll be coming back to this discussion. That's just the precursor, the top layer, the TL of this conversation. When we come back, much more with the gentleman right here. But before then, let's inform you of more stories making headlines, and that the Law Society of Kenya, LSK, now says that the Inspector General of Police and the Director of Criminal Investigations, DCI, are in continued violation of court orders as 2 petitioners remain missing. Meanwhile, the Kenya Human Rights Commission KHRC lawyer, while submitting in court, claimed that individuals who had been abducted were given between 2,000 to 3,000 shillings by their abductors and instructed not to speak about their ordeal. Take a look.
LSK President Faith Odhiambo informed the court that the Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja and the Director of DCI are in continued violation of court orders as 2 petitioners remain missing. Odhiambo told the court that the respondents must be held accountable as they have public resources at their disposal and cannot claim ignorance regarding the whereabouts of the 2 petitioners.
As much as my Lord has given leeway dispensing the fact that the Inspector General of Police and the head of DCI should not physically attend, we still do not have answers, and the duty bearers have failed to produce the 2 petitioners before this honorable court.
My Lord, the only way to ensure the safety of these two petitioners, where their current whereabouts are known, is that we must hold the duty bearers accountable.
The LSK president has told Justice Bahati Mwamuye that Kevin Muthoni and Stephen Bisi Kavingo are still missing and has asked the court to issue an order for their production.
To date, you have not received any information as to the extent that they have taken to assure or to provide and produce the two petitioners that are still missing. No any reason as to why they are lawfully being detained or at all.
Mother Karua also urged the court to order the production of the missing persons, whether dead or alive. Karua further noted that abductions have become an epidemic since last year, affecting both foreigners and locals.
Abduction, brother, has become an epidemic in this country since last year, and the court may wish to take judicial notice that there's been abduction of both foreigners and locals, and we are in court on the abduction of, initially it was 7 persons, but now we are dealing with almost 9 persons.
Meanwhile, the Kenyan Human Rights Commission KHRC lawyer, while submitting in court, claimed that the individuals who have been abducted were given 2,000 to 3,000 Kenya shillings by their abductors and instructed not to speak about their ordeal. In seeking to hold the state accountable for the abductions, the commission's lawyer stated that the abductees were subjected to torture. During the hearing, several video clips were presented as evidence. Anastasia Mkabi, TV47, Nairobi.
Yeah, gentlemen, this story of abductions is still on. Mheshimiwa Nyota, I'll begin with you. A minute each to both you and Mheshimiwa Ruku. What do you make of this issue of abductions and perhaps not getting into contempt of court? What is the stand from your new camp about this whole issue of abductions?
Thank you, Maringa. And we are very much opposed to abductions because the law is very clear. If anybody has broken any law in this country, they should be arrested and not by hooded officers. Because when a police officer is arresting a wrongdoer, of course they are doing their duty. So unless a police officer has planned, right from the time he leaves the station or his duty station to go and arrest a person, unless he has planned to go and commit a crime, he should not be hooded. In any case, he should carry his identification with him so that if the person being arrested demands for identification of the police officer, then they should be able to produce the identification. So anytime a police officer or a group of police officers especially appear hooded and they not actually arrest a Kenyan, they abduct a Kenyan, they break the law. And it is criminal. And what we are saying is let the government shape up. Anybody who breaks the law, let them be arrested, then let them be arraigned in court to answer the charges. When you talk about the IG of the police IG failing to attend court, I mean, this is something something else that is evolving, that is not very good. Remember, this happened with Masengeli when he was acting as police IG before IG Kanja was, of course, approved and took over. So what you are saying is the police IG should not be treated like they are above the law. They should appear in court when required to do so. Okay. But abductions and then the excuse that people should bring up their children well, because remember, Maringa, nobody, including His Excellency the President, has ever addressed the issue of abductions. Okay. This side where Ruku is serving, the only thing they have been saying, parents, bring up your children well. Children, don't put people in coffins. That is, I mean, as if to justify these abductions. And I want to tell you, and I said it at that meeting where we were, that our children have read the Bible. They understand the Mosaic law in the Old Testament. Eye for an eye, toe for a toe. So when their colleagues, other Gen Zs, are killed, what they are doing, because they have no ability to kill anybody physically, what they are doing is killing people that have killed their colleagues, is killing them through social media and putting them in coffins.
Mheshimiwa Ruku, let's come to you. The president has said, he did say that under his watch there would be no abductions, he would bring an end to it. Why is there no quote-unquote tangible commitment that you are seeing from the government? Or action to apprehend those who are abducting?
Number one, there is no law that provides for abductions. Abductions is illegal in our laws of the Republic of Kenya. And therefore, it is something that should be condemned by any oversighting body or any leader in the Republic of Kenya. How it is happening, we are yet to know. From where I sit, even the president said the person who should answer that question is the Inspector General of Police. Because remember, the National Police Service is an independent constitutional body, and it should be able to serve, protect the people, the rights and the property of the people of Kenya. That is the mandate of the National Police Service. So IG, Inspector General, and his deputies, and the entire police force, or police service, they have a responsibility to tell Kenyans, why is this happening? And if they are not able to answer those questions, then there is always someone who can be able to become a better Inspector General or a better Deputy Inspector General or police, so that we can be a country where the rule of law is obeyed. Kenya is not a banana republic. It's a constitutional democracy. And therefore, we expect the Inspector General to tell us what is happening. So I am in tandem with the President of Kenya in terms of the issues to do with the abduction. Let the Inspector General tell us what is happening. He has all the necessary tools in place. He has the officers, they are intelligence guys, they are criminal investigation people, they are anti-terror squad. All these resources, they should be pulled together to tell us what is happening. And if abductions are there, and we know they are there, let them come to an end. Let someone be arrested, arraigned in court, and the judicial process take place. So that's the view. But now, there are pharaohs we have seen coming out talking about abductions who served in the previous government. One of them is a guy who my brother here wants support to run for president because, of course, regarding Gachagua, will not be able to hold any public office by the virtue that he was impeached. A guy called Matiang'i. Matiang'i oversaw a system of killing people. Bodies were being collected in Livayara and many other places. Why is it that was not solved then? So there are people who their hands are extremely dirty, readed with the brand, and they cannot be able to be given any opportunity by Kenyans to serve this nation in such a very high office of honor, the office of the President of the Republic of Kenya.
Gentlemen, hold that thought once again. Let's take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll still be continuing. Please do stay with us. We're speaking to the Honorable Geoffrey Ruku, Member of Parliament for Mbeere North, as well as Joe Nyoto, Senator for Maringa County. The conversation continues after this short commercial break. Please keep your feedback coming on YouTube. Be careful and ensure you follow the community guidelines as you throw in your comments and feedback as well. Please do stay with us. We're back shortly.
elevate your business game.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
Kama wewe ni mfanyabiashara, huwezi kaa bure, unajipanga taratibu vile inavyofaa.
Join us each week as we dive into the stories of the world's most driven entrepreneurs.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
The Grind, where business meets brilliance. Tune in every Monday at 7:30 p.m. because your business deserves the best.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Sports News brought to you by Maybets. Chance yako ya ku-earn 2 million kila mwezi
Welcome back. Let's get sporty before we continue the discussion here in studio. And the second edition of the Football Kenya Federation Youth League Championship concluded on Sunday in different centres across the country, with a total of 786 teams participating in this year's showdown. The tournament featured different teams from 3 different age categories participating in the event. The age categories included the under 13, under 15 and under 17. Both boys and girls. In Nairobi, the Kayale Starlets took home the coveted national under-15 title, while the Green Commandos of Kakamega County roared past their opponents to clinch the under-15 boys title. Nakuru United ensured the under-17 boys title was theirs for the taking, while the Turkana Warriors basked in glory as they lifted the under-17 boys title in the Turkana Center.
Kitu tunafaa tufanye nini tukue tunaifanya often. Tusikuwe tunaifanya alafu tunaiwacha, kwa sababu hii ndio stage poa ya kunacha players na kuonesha direction ya kwenda kucheza professional football.
Of course, the first thing we must appreciate is the platform it's giving the players and the continuity that we are having by having running games throughout the time, and of course the skill set that we are able to witness. Remember, this year especially, we are going to have a lot of age grade competitions for under 15, under 17, for under 15 for schools, under 17 World Cup qualifiers, under 17 AFCON qualifiers for men, under 20 AFCON qualifiers for the girls. So it's very important to have events like this, because they give us like a platform to keep scouting talent throughout the country.
National Super League side 3K FC secured a late equalizer against Giants Ups Bomet at Moi Stadium, Embu, and earned an important home point at home after a slow start to the season. The visitors took the lead in the 83rd minute following a well-executed throw in routine that led to a spectacular bicycle kick goal from the lethal Evans Murigi. The hosts, however, remained optimistic, and their resilience paid off as Ronald Karerwa, famously known as Kadona, sent the stadium into a frenzy with a late equalizing header in the 97th minute, forcing both teams to settle for a draw. Bomet now sit in second with a total tally of 33 points after 17 games, 1 point of log leaders Nairobi United. 3K face remain in 9th place with a total tally of 22 points.
Game imekuwa poa, imekuwa very good game. Juu ukiangalia PS Bomet wako juu ya table na kuna uzoefu wake. So imekuwa good fight, imekuwa challenge fiti sana.
Matarajio yetu ilikuwa ni kuwin hii game, lakini unaona due to our little mistake tumepata ku concede.
Tulikuja wamepata long throw moja, tuka lose concentration, waka go forward with 1-0. But make changes na vijana wamekuja wamefight, tumekuwa able kupata 1 point, but na feel that tumeperform, tungelikuwa tunastahili ku win 3 points.
Victory tumegawana point moja kwa ajili ya matokeo ya 1-1. Nafikiri imekuwa game nzuri kulingana na madirisha yetu, tulikuwa tuko na objective. So kulingana na game ambayo inakuja pale mbele, tunakubali kama ligi iko tight kidogo, so kila timu iko under pressure. So point moja ambayo tumechukua hapa katika kiwanja ya Embu, ndio ilipatia sisi uwezo wa kufanya bidii katika game ambayo inakuja.
Youngsters FC completed a glorious comeback from 3 goals down, Goldstown, to secure an incredible 4-3 win over their rivals Solidarity Boys in an enticing FKF Trans-Nzoia Branch League encounter. Solidarity went into the break with a comfortable 3-0 lead before a slip in concentration followed by a series of horrific defending and costly errors in midfield gave the youngsters a chance to come back and seal the win. Meanwhile, in other results, Sabotis Parties registered a 1-0 draw against Rafiki FC, while Tawi FC secured a 3-2 win over Mathare to ensure they bagged all 3 points.
Hiyo ndo sasa tunataka kufocus, kwa sababu hata timu ambayo inataka kupanda juu, kama hatujawatayarisha nyumbani, hakuna haja ya kuwapeleka juu. Kumbuke pia juu kuna mahitaji yako juu kabisa. So kuna vitu lazima tukue prepared, one financially, tutafute sponsors, tuweze kupata watu wale wafadhili wanaweza tusaidia tuvuke kwa hiyo mpaka. Lakini that is one of the goals.
Rongai-based side ISA team emerged champions of the inaugural Kenya Digital Cup after overcoming Santiago A&T from Thika 12-7 in the finals played at the Uhuru Sports Complex, Nairobi. Their victory was courtesy of a 9-7 win on the digital football and 3-0 win on the 5 versus 5 physical soccer pitch under the floodlights. The competition attracted a total of 16 teams, all battling for the single slot to represent Kenya in Dubai, where the global competition dubbed the Games of the Future shall be held starting November 21st this year. The tournament was played in a hybrid format where teams played both physical and digital football esports to determine the winner of a tie. Both finalists emerged from a group where they finished first and second respectively, with either team winning the group fixture 7-5. It was a spotless performance from the champions, who won all of their matches on their way to glory, proving to be too strong for their opponents.
The competition attracted 16 teams that registered for it, and today we have them here competing, and they are competing for a chance to play in Dubai at the Games of the Future, which will be held starting November 21st. Games of the Future, this will be the second edition. The first edition was held in 2024 in Kazan, Russia, and this is the second edition. We expect the third edition to be in 2026 in Kazakhstan. So it has been an interesting competition because it has fused the world of esports and the world of normal soccer, or if you say physical soccer.
Now, top seed Mark Nyolawaswa and Elizabeth Cassidy were crowned the champions of the Chess Kenya Uasin Gishu County Association Open Champions. The tournament, which is one of the National Grand Prix events, was staged at the St. Luke's Hospital Hall in Eldoret over the weekend and featured a total of 139 chess players participate in the event. Ugandan Mark Waswa finished the tournament unbeaten following his final victory against Kenya's top seed Hawi Kaloki in a final play to win the title in the hotly contested final game.
I knew the tournament is going to be very, very tough because chess in Kenya has really improved. But I prepared a lot, but my training has been a little bit intense because I have to focus also in school.
I managed to conquer, though there are some strong opponents that I faced, like Hawi, who somehow proved a point, but he finally fell down at some point in the end game.
We are now having a system whereby for you to be part of the national events, we have created a tournament style where it's called a Grand Prix, where we have players playing in different tournaments around the country. Then the top 11 players will be selected to compete in the nationals, and the winner will receive a card.
Sports News brought to you by Maybets.
Welcome back. You're watching The Daily Report with me, George Maringa. Catherine Simaloi is still on sign language interpretation. And our guests tonight are still the Honorable Geoffrey Ruku, Member of Parliament, Beren North, as well as Joe Nyoto, Senator for Murang'a. Mheshimiwa Nyoto, looking at the offer that your new camp is offering to Kenyans, of what difference, of what importance, as Mheshimiwa Ruku has, poked and questioned, is what is new apart from, quote unquote, the seeming opposition of the current regime?
Thank you, Maringa. And before I come to that, I want to mention something that Honorable Ruku has mentioned, and that is of great concern to the country. Because the allegation or the argument that Rigathi Gachagua cannot run for office is a very serious allegation, is a very serious statement for me. Why do I say that? Because we know, of course, there is that judicial process. It is true that Rigathi Gachagua was impeached though he was not impeached in legally, actually, because of course, you know, it's basic that you cannot condemn somebody unheard. And Rigathi Gachagua was not heard in the Senate where I sit, because of course he fell ill. So what you're saying, why I need to mention that is because when Roko, who is on the government side, says that Rigathi Gachagua will not run, then he is telling the nation that they have taken control of the judiciary and that they know well in advance that the judiciary will rule against Rigathi Gachagua. So this thing that Rigathi Gachagua will not run is something that actually needs to make our judiciary wake up, because what Roko and company are telling the nation is that we do not have an independent judiciary. It has been captured by the Kenya Kwanza government. And so maybe before I get to that.
I want to interject just a little bit.
Okay.
Just to remind Senator Nyoto that after the impeachment process went from the National Assembly to the Senate, there was a court case which validated that the National Assembly and the Senate met all the legal provision, all the constitutional provision, that Rigathi Gachagua was impeached according to the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. So I don't know which is this other judiciary Senator Nyoto is talking about. Because judiciary went through the processes, and judiciary took all its time to determine the questions which were, the legal questions which were put in front of the court by very senior state councils led by Paul Moite. And the verdict was clear. So judiciary is clear. Judiciary gave a verdict. And it was not interfered by anybody. We have a very independent judiciary in the Republic of Kenya.
We'll be coming
Thank
to
you.
the
That was an
topic of
interjection.
and then
I want to remind Honorable Roko.
Yes.
Because he seems to have forgotten that when the judicial process, we have what we call appeal. That decision that he's talking about was decided at the level, I think, of the High Court. We still have two other levels. This matter has not been decided. It was not decided in the Court of Appeal, and we also have the Supreme Court. Surely, Honorable Roko should know that the decision, the only final decision in the legal process, is that of the Supreme Court and not any other court. So, Honorable Roko, please just know that was the High Court, and this is something that is subject to appeal at the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court. And so we have not exhausted the avenues in the judiciary. But to answer your question, Maringa, what new we have to offer in this particular coalition? One is a coalition that will respect the rights of Kenyans and respect Kenyans. A coalition that will not call Kenyans stupid. A coalition that will do public participation. That if we need to bring affordable housing, for example, I don't know whether it's affordable, that we do proper public participation, because that is what our constitution requires. A coalition that will not run down the economy of this particular country. A coalition where we will not have abductions. A coalition that will listen to the messenger without killing the messenger. Because, and why I say that, I mean, you remember that lady that went protesting that SHA was not working at the Ministry of Health headquarters. Imagine that lady was arrested from a hospital just because of telling the government it is naked. We want a coalition that will respect every Kenyan, a coalition that will not take any particular community in this country and isolate it, a coalition that will respect women. And when I say that, of course, you know what Mali Muhammad called women, our mothers, actually not our girls, our mothers, a coalition in the presence of the president. And to this day, the president has never condemned those very unfortunate remarks. So we want a coalition that serves Kenyans with respect, that looks at Kenyans, a coalition that will be truthful, that when you say you will uplift Mama Mbogas and the boda people, you do that. This government is now lifting former governors, and you can mention them. I mean, William Kabogo, Lee Kenyanjui, former minister, Mutahi Kagwe. I would want Honorable Roko to tell us, because tuliambiwa ni serikali ya boda, to tell us which boda people, which Mama Mboga, which Mama Mbogas have been given jobs in this particular government. So we want a government that will keep its promises. That is what this coalition is going to offer. A coalition that will disburse capitation to schools at the right time and in the right quantities. A coalition that will give a health solution that works, not one that is failed to work, and a coalition where the president will not start campaigning for a re-election 3 years ahead of the election. A coalition where the president will sit in the office and work and allow people to work, not do all the work.
Okay.
That is what we have to offer in the new coalition.
Mashimarugu is itching to respond.
You know, it is going to give credit where it deserves. During Mwai Kibaki presidency, Mwai Kibaki ran an administration which was very backful to the politics and economy of the Republic of Kenya. Mwai Kibaki spent 5 years to get the macroeconomic indicators of this country right. President William Ruto has spent 2 years to get the macroeconomic indicators of this country right. And one of them, I mean, two of them, very important ones, is that the inflation of this country is at 2.6%, a situation it experienced 17 years ago. The rating of the economy of this country by the New York body called Moody's, it is where it is today. I mean, comparing it is where it is. We experienced the same situation about 80 years ago. It's 80 years or it's I'm not sure, but I can check the facts. Several years ago. So this President William Ruto has managed to get this right within a duration of 2 years, within a duration of 2.5 years. I mean, we have to give credit where it deserves. The issue of condemning things on a day-to-day basis, how things are not right. What my brother here is not telling us is that the Mama Mboga is talking about, when this administration was coming on board, the Mama Mboga was getting one packet of unga at 260 Kenyan shilling. Today is 130. When this administration was coming to power, the Mama Mboga who were planting boga in my village were buying a pack 50 kgs of fertilizer at 7,000 Kenya shilling. Today is 2,500 Kenya shilling. Out of the policies and the strategies which this administration has put in place. So the physical deficit has moved from 8.4% to 4.3%. This is out of the prudent management of our resources. The bank interest rates are coming down. So the economic parameters are showing that the Kenyan economy is in the right trajectory. These are two very difficult decisions to be made by this administration within a period of 2 years. And in another 1 year, we'll be seeing now the project getting rolled out, construction of the road, which you keep on mentioning a lot, Mau Road, and many other projects. The rectification project are starting this coming month of February across the country. So the project which is talking about that, and which Rigathi Gachagua is busy saying is a scam of housing project. This is a project which is a program which has employed many Kenyans, and which this administration will continue with to ensure we get, we shift from the people who are in slums. Remember Article 43 of our Constitution.
It's okay.
Talks about every Kenyan has a right to proper housing.
All right.
But it's a constitutional right which every Kenyan should be able to enjoy. When we have so many Kenyans in slums at the moment. Today, a mama mboga is able to own an apartment in this city, a nice apartment, if you pay 3,000 Kenya shilling per month.
When will these events, fine, the macros you argued would be working. When will the micro start working and money in the pockets of Kenyans?
Money in the pocket of Kenya is being felt slowly from this year, 2025, in the sense that the inflation rate has come back, has gone down to 2.6%. That means we are able to import the merchandise. Remember, Kenya imports too many goods from the other countries, which is something which needs to change. But it can only change if we invest a huge amount of money in our manufacturing sector.
Okay.
But at the moment, we are able to import more goods in a cheaper way, because the foreign currency, I mean the Kenya shilling versus US dollar. Remember, it was 160 when this administration was coming into office. Today is at 127, 128. So we are able to buy more using less amount of Kenya shilling.
Okay.
This means when people in the villages are buying the merchandise, they're able to buy them. 1 shilling is able to acquire more goods, more basket of goods. In other words, I'm saying 1,000 Kenyan shilling, what it was getting the other year, last year, is able to get more goods in a household than it used to be. So Kenyans will be able to see more value of their money.
On that 1,000, that is very debatable, and I'm sure Mheshimiwa Nyeto is itching to respond, but let's take
No, it's not debatable, because if you are getting 260 1 year or 2 years ago, a packet of unga, today is 130.
But that 1,000 has been raided by the Affordable Housing and the Social Health Authority in the pay slips. We'll be coming to that. Let's take another commercial break. When we come back, the conversation on State of the Nation continues right here on TV47. Please stay with us.
To elevate your business game.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
Kama wewe ni mfanyabiashara, huwezi kaa bure, unajipanga taratibu vile inavyofaa.
Join us each week as we dive into the stories of the world's most driven entrepreneurs.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
The Grind, where business meets brilliance. Tune in every Monday at 7:30 p.m. because your business deserves the best.
Hey there, friends.
Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwa watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Welcome back. You're watching the Daily Report. Mheshimiwa Roko and Mheshimiwa Nyuto are still here with us. Mheshimiwa Joe Nyuto, as you react to perhaps what the Honourable Member has spoken about earlier on, looking at progress, don't you think that perhaps, as he says, in terms of the macroeconomics, do you at least agree to some extent, your side of the camp, that there is some improvement or there is none at all?
Well, I think it is true that our fertilizer prices have come down. Yes. That is true. Of course, we do not want to just condemn and oppose things just for the sake of it. That is true. But then even as unga prices come down, we must look at all the factors that have led to this decline in the prices of unga. And of course, rains have contributed a great deal to it, because when this government took over, I think we had about 4 successive seasons where we had not had sufficient rainfall. And so one of the contributing factors to the lower price of unga has actually been natural, that is the rains. But of course, then I want to give it to them that the low fertilizer prices, of course, have also maybe done it. But we also need to look at this, because they do not mention about any other commodity. They only mention about unga. What is the price, especially now, the price of sugar at the moment? How is it? Is it low? Is it high? And I think I would want to hear my brother here tell us about sugar, tell us about edible oils and cooking fat, because the prices of those particular products have shot over the roof. So these macroeconomic indicators that Honorable Ruku keeps talking about, well, it's good even to talk about, you know, a low level of, a low percentage in inflation, that inflation rates have come down, but can Kenyans feel it in their pockets? Because Kenyans, fine, we may understand ourselves what macroeconomic indicators are, but we want the impact of these things that we keep being told about go to the pockets of Kenyans, to be felt by Kenyans. Otherwise, then the benefits of these macroeconomic indicators are going to a few individuals, because Kenyans are yet to feel this particular improvement in the rate of inflation. Now, when Honorable Ruku tells us that roads and electrification projects will be done going forward, he should remember that Kenyans have been promised these things so many times. So what Honorable Ruku is doing is just adding into the basket of promises. Unfortunately, Kenyans are not now receptive to this. They actually don't trust these promises. So I think, let's see, then we compare notes there. But if it's a promise, if it is not happening, Kenyans are not ready to listen to that.
Okay.
Honorable Ruku should also tell us this affordable housing. He has said something very, very interesting, that a Mama Boga can be able to own a house by paying 3,000 Kenya shillings every month. And I did a quick computation, and 3,000 for 1 year will be 36,000. The cheapest, the last time I checked, the cheapest house in the affordable housing scheme, was it 900,000 or something like that? And there is a deposit to be raised. It is not just a matter of paying 3,000 per month. And so I think I would want him to elaborate more. And what is wrong also with this affordable housing program is the fact that this is not being done from usual or normal government revenue, like you do roads. Remember, there is a deduction from people like you, like me, like Rocco, from the payslip. So this is not something that government is doing. This is something where government is taxing Kenyans, is not even actually taxing Kenyans. It is getting money from Kenyans to do this project. And there are so many things. If we started discussing about housing program, this affordable housing program, we would be here the whole night and we still would not finish. We heard what the Federation of Kenyan Employers said the other day, that taxes are taking almost half, 50% of what Kenyan employees are earning. And unfortunately, the Secretary General of Court, Francis Atwoli, instead of speaking for workers whose pay slips have been raided by this government to levels not hitherto seen, he is in bed with government, praising the government instead of fighting for the rights of workers. I tell you, Maringa, we have to bring this coalition, because the way things are, almost every other sector of this economy has been captured. Every other sector that can speak for the rights of Kenyans has been captured. Only this new coalition can bring a change.
The Kenya Kwanza administration was talking of state capture, Mheshimiwa Ruku, before in the run-up to the 2022 elections. Do you feel that that's the same quote-unquote curse that the administration has befallen this administration? And even as you respond, what is this with galvanizing the Western vote? Is it true that perhaps the president is banking on the Western vote following the exit of the AUC candidate?
Talking about Western, President William Ruto was in Western Kenya mainly because of the revival of the sugar industry in the Western region. Remember, at the moment, Kenya is sufficient on sugar local consumption, that we don't need to import sugar from COMESA countries or from Brazil or from other countries. Out of the policies and the program that this government had put in place, it is many years ago when Kenya was sugar sufficient. That's something which needs to be acknowledged. Number two, it's for the first time after very many years that this government is giving bonus to the sugar farmers in the Western Kenya. Something which has not happened for a decade. I mean, farmers in the Western Kenya are enjoying the bonus. They are smiling all the way to the bank to get the bonus. Something which has not happened for years. So this is something positive. That indeed the macroeconomic indicators of this country are moving in the right direction. When you talk about the education sector, from 2022 December to now, this government has employed 76,000 teachers. Now, the many parents who have been employing BOM teachers, I have many schools in my constituency.
Okay.
And you move from one school to the other, you find that the parents are getting into their pocket to pay BOM teachers. Because of the shortage of teachers, which as we have been experiencing in our schools. At the moment, you go from one school to the other, and you find that is one or two teachers who parents are paying. So we are moving in the right direction. 76,000 teachers have been employed since Kenya Kwanza government came into power. Jamani, Kenya Power, an institution which has never made profit over the years, it declared that $1 billion Kenya shilling profit this year. Last year. Kenya Airways, an institution which has been making losses year in, year out, it has now declared profit 2 years consecutively. That means the Kenya Kwanza government, led by William Ruto, is making the right economic decisions moving forward. And you're going to see more institutions making profit, and hence, the more profit they make, the more we create employment. It's a fact that I don't need to mention about the fuel prices. When this government was coming to power, 1 liter of petrol was 210. At the moment, it's 178. That's a fact because of prudent management of the economy. We don't want to mention about the exchange rate. I mentioned about it. You don't need to mention about the unga prices. You don't need to mention about the deficit, the economy. We have been able to manage our international liabilities as well as local liabilities the most prudent way.
On state capture. Yeah? On the issue of state capture, Mheshimiwa Nyeto is talking about state capture.
Which is
of institutions, and it's what before the 2022 elections, the Kenya Kwanza side had accused the administration of the time of state capture. Do you think that that state capture is what has befallen the Kenya Kwanza administration?
Kenya Kwanza administration is obeying the rule of law in this country. Any order given by the courts, the Kenya Kwanza administration is obeying the rule of law. I don't think there is any state capture as far as from where I sit. The police are there to do their job. That's why I said, let the Inspector General tell us what is happening as far as abductions are concerned. That is wrong. It should not be encouraged. In terms of the rule of law, the Kenya Kwanza administration is any ruling from the court, we obey, whether it is whether we agree with the ruling or not, we obey. And we have seen even when it comes to a finance bill being declared unconstitutional, we obey, even if we disagree. When it comes to issues with appointment of CSs, we obey, even if we don't agree. You know, Kenya Kwanza believes in the rule of law.
Mheshimiwa Nyeto.
I forgot to say something about abductions and the IG of the police. Now, Honorable Roko reminds me about it when he says the IG of police should deal with abductions. Information out there is that the IG of the police is actually not in command of the abduction squad. And what they are doing, actually I can tell you, Maringa, that Kanja is not wanted as IG of police. And I can tell you the road that Koome traveled and was taken is the same. So this abduction squad, we have information that this abduction squad is operating from somewhere without, that is not within the command of the IG. What they are doing, and that's why Roko has mentioned about the IG and what he should be doing so many times, because they want to remove him. They also want to remove Mother Koome from as the Chief Justice, but that is a story for another day.
Okay.
Responding to about the issues that my brother Roko has raised, I mean, we have seen the president launching transformers in Western Kenya. We have seen the president flagging off, were they for electricity poles? I mean, it was embarrassing to say the least. And you know, when you talk about bonus, Honorable Roko, I don't think it's given by government. Bonus should come from the sale of the produce that farmers take to the factory. So I think that is something that I may need to explain. But what is very pitiable in Roko's argument is about education. I'm an educationist, Maringa, and I understand education very well. It is true. This government has employed very many teachers. In fact, I give credit to government for the numbers employed by this government since it came from power to power is a huge number. But most of these teachers are actually interns, and that is a fact. Over 3/4 of them are interns. Those employed on permanent and pensionable basis are just about a quarter.
Maringa,
but anyway, I don't Roko,
that's not true.
You'll get your time.
No, that's not true.
You'll get your time.
Let's give him.
You'll get your time. One thing that regarding education that Honorable Roko has completely evaded is the burning issues in our educational institutions. And the issues are specialization of these teachers that are being employed in junior secondary school. A teacher posted to teach junior secondary school, remember, Maringa, that a high school teacher is trained to handle 2 subjects. But you find a junior secondary school teacher being maybe just one in the whole school. So being forced to teach other subjects that they are not qualified in. And that is a challenge. And I do not want to blame government for that. What I'm saying is teachers are not enough, especially in junior secondary school, because of subject specialization. And something needs to be done. Honorable Roko has avoided completely, when he was talking about the progress made in educational institutions, he has avoided talking about the issue of capitation that does not arrive in school accounts, that does not hit the school accounts in time, and sometimes the end of year will come before the whole amount that is due to the schools go. And our secondary schools especially are in trouble as we speak, and the principals have been talking about this. I think that is something that needs to be addressed and that Roko should tell us. JSS classes, especially grade 9 classes, has been all over the media. We have seen the parents when schools were opening. We saw parents doing some funny, structures just if only to accommodate the grade 9 learners. And those are issues that need to be addressed. Those are issues that Roko should tell us what the government is doing about. Or now talking about a profit made by KPLC and KQ. What was the role of government? So what we should be saying is, if management in KPLC and KQ has improved, and that is why maybe there's profitability, then we should give credit to the managers in those particular institutions and not the government. What does the government have to do with profitability of KPLC and KQ? It's all about management. Did the government take any business there that it was not taking there? I mean, let us get this information. And one thing, one lie my brother told, and because that's a lie, and I have a lot of respect for him, he's my friend. The cost of fuel was not 210 shillings when the Kenya Kwanza government came to power. It was actually 145 shillings. And if I can tell you what happened was that the president, and it was a very good argument, said that going forward, the government
you can't allow these enterprise to
you will get your time.
To continue
Government, what the president did, said when he came to power, he said government was not going to subsidize consumption, it was going to subsidize production. And immediately, the cost, and these are things on record, the cost of fuel shot from 145 to about 165. And the justification given then, which was reasonable, was that the government was not going to continue, subsidizing, consumption, but production. So the price was not 210. It was 165, then it progressively rose to over 200 shillings. Now, if you're talking about an achievement, talk about, from the 200 shillings that the government had raised the fuel cost of fuel to what we have now.
All right.
Yes, so let us use fact.
Okay.
Yes.
Fact number one.
Yes.
A government comprises of registration, executive, and judiciary. So myself and my brother here, we are part of government, and we should be part of those people who are offering solutions to the people of the Republic of Kenya, to the problems which are facing the people of the Republic of Kenya. The junior secondary framework, which is being implemented at the moment by the government of the Republic of Kenya, is through a motion which I tabled on the floor of the House in the year 2023. And the motion was to discuss, to get it right, as far as two issues are concerned. One, to develop a comprehensive junior secondary school policy in order to regularize and anchor the guidelines under the Basic Education Act 2012 to ensure junior secondary schools are established and operated in each and every primary school in the Republic of Kenya. Number two was to ensure that we have a clear implementation framework of competence-based curriculum at the junior secondary schools and provide a funding plan for successive implementation of the curriculum. We discussed and we came up with quite a number of challenges which are facing the junior secondary schools implementation. One, inadequate infrastructure. Two, inadequate teachers training. Three, limited access of technology. Four, lack of parental and community involvement. Five, overburdening the parent. Six, curriculum overload, and several others. And we came up with solutions. Okay? That motion was passed at the National Assembly. And we called the Minister of Education then to come to the for a Kamukonji so that we can discuss how this is going to be implemented. And we keep on checking the progress. So, when Nyoto is here lamenting and is not offering any solution, and he is a member of parliament who should be solving some of these problems, it means he's not worthy, sitting in some of these positions. Number two, we are talking about the profit making of the institutions, and that it is not out of the government. Myself and Honorable Jane Kagiri forwarded another motion on restructuring of independent power producers and PPAs, what you call power purchase agreement, which Kenya government entered into And this power purchase agreement cannot be revoked. And it entered into this power purchase agreement that some of them are extremely expensive. So we have been having very expensive power in the Republic of Kenya. So how do we restructure some of these things so that Kenya Power can make profit and so that Kenyans can enjoy cheaper power? Okay. These are some of the things which we have discussed on the floor of our House, often solutions which have been implemented through the Ministry of Energy so that we can have a turnaround at the Kenya Power and Lighting Company.
Let's enter the home stretch.
So, Jameni, we have to be more innovative, we have to be creative, we have to think on solutions which we can offer as members of parliament to Kenyans. But if we are elected to say president and his government, president and his executive, they are responsible of giving solutions to all the problems affecting the people of the Republic of Kenya, we are not worthy to be elected. We are elected to go there so that we can think creatively, innovatively, and come up with motions. Because anything that is discussed on the floor of the House, Maringa, it is not discussed in vain. House Parliament is an extremely powerful institution. Anything that is passed on the floor of their House, it is implemented. It is law. It is implemented, and anybody or any institution which fails to implement what is passed on the floor of the House, action can be taken. Okay. Senator here should be telling us what is he doing on the floor of the Senate to ensure some of these problems Kenyans are facing.
Let's enter
getting solutions.
Let's enter the home stretch.
So I have given you two solutions.
Yes.
The JSS education, why we are getting it right in a gradual manner. In terms of cost of power and Kenya Power turning around, why we are getting it right. It is through actions of some of us, some of the members of parliament, taking an initiative to go there and try to bring other members together so that they can discuss on getting the solution. It's not about the Minister of Energy. It's not about the Minister of Education. It is also our responsibility as members of parliament to offer solutions which can guide some of these sectors.
Let's enter the home stretch, and let's take a question here. Dennis Odhiambo says, what is the alternative agenda this new political formation is coming with? Making Ruto a one-term president cannot be an agenda. What do you have to say to Dennis Odhiambo?
Thank you. The agenda is not to make Ruto a one-term president. The agenda is to correct the problems. I mean, it is to correct the situation that, of course, has arisen from the presidency of His Excellency William Ruto. So it's not it's about the issues affecting Kenyans and issues that this government has not been able to solve. And I think these are issues that we had talked about in the beginning. I mean, the issues that Kenyans are raising about in fact, even, security, independence, even respect to Kenyans, our women, those are the issues that we are talking about, the economy and all these things. So it's not about who is president. It's about what the regime is doing, and I mean, whether it has shown any interest in, whether it shows any remorse for the problems that are there, because there is no remorse. That's why, like I started by saying, they have been justifying abductions by saying that parents should bring up their children well. I mean, there is no remorse. So then it means that such things would still continue because the current regime does not think that it is wrong. So what we are saying is, it is not about removing President William Ruto from power. It's about bringing a change to address the problems that Kenyans have, because this government has not shown any indication that it is ready to change.
Closing remarks, Mheshimiwa Nyuto, and then Mheshimiwa Ruku, and then Nyuto. What do we, for 2025, what will Kenya Kwanza ensure that it has delivered to Kenyans moving forward?
2025 is the year when Kenya Kwanza administration is going to implement the plan after getting right the macroeconomic parameters. And the plan which was envisaged through the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza is going to be implemented, and Kenyans are going to see it as we move forward towards the months of the year 2025. We are going to see quite a number of projects coming up, which are going to alleviate or solve a number of problems which are affecting Kenyans. For instance, my constituency, we are looking forward to electrification, getting power to the household, getting more water connection to the households, and also tarmacking of more kilometers of road within my constituency. This is going to happen not only in my constituency, but in quite a number of constituencies in the Republic of Kenya. From where I sit, we request all the Kenyans to support this administration.
Okay. Mheshimiwa Newton?
Thank you very much.
And what you can even respond to what else, what more formations do you expect to see in the coming days?
Well, maybe I can start with that.
Those formations will be very inconsequential.
It's my time, Honorable Ruku. I mean, most of, starting with formations,
yes.
Maringa, you expect so many people that are in government, including somebody like my friend Honorable Ruku here, joining us, because towards the end of 2026, and mark those words, I know you keep, you have you keep your data. By 2020, the end of 2026, call us here, God willing, with Honorable Ruku. Most likely, he'll be on our side. I may not be on their side, but he'll be on our side. Why? Because, in fact, even many cabinet ministers you are seeing here are very, very demoralized. And most of them will resign, and they'll be with us before the end of next year. Because what is happening, this government, Ruku is here talking about this government, but this government is a one-man show, and so you expect that people are very demoralized, but at the right time, they are going to decamp and join our side. What I may want to say in conclusion is, let's not continue over-promising Kenyans. And what Honorable Ruku has has done very well here, is continuing with the same problem, over-promising. Don't talk about especially new projects. Can this government implement? Can this government keep the promises that it has made in the past? Can it implement the program, the projects that were there, and not over-promise Kenyans again? Can this government start respecting Kenyans? The word stupid coming from the president is not something right when referring to a Kenyan. The word idiot is not something that we should be hearing from the president. Let the president talk about government programs. Let him not talk about Rigathi Gachagua, because like Rigathi Gachagua said today, Rigathi Gachagua is not a road, Rigathi Gachagua is not a water project. Let the government talk about, and let the government stop just dumping. People like Kamket telling us they can manufacture a president for 24 years. I mean, what are you telling Kenyans? I mean, under this constitution, people like Oscar Sudi telling Kenyans that whether you want to like it or not, there'll be a second term. Let us be humble, and most importantly, let us remember God's commandments. Thou shalt not kill. We have killed Gen Zs. Thou shalt not steal. We have stolen from this, from the resources of this country. And thou shalt not give false testimony. There has been very many lies told. So we are saying, let us at least respect God's commandments.
Okay, what a way to wind up the program tonight. Thank you so much to Mheshimiwa.
Why are you allowing Nyoto to say
But you had already concluded.
You have something to say.
These are just lying.
But that stands to be his opinion, as well as the same opinion we had earlier on from you.
Okay.
Mheshimiwa Ruku, the Member of Parliament for Mbeere North, did you want to counter or banter?
You see, the issue of having such a crossing remark is not very right, because no one who has stolen this government from that, I heard Gachagua, we are talking about 104 billion Kenya shilling for implementation of a network. There's nothing like that. There's nothing that such a thing which has been implemented with such amount of money. We sit in Parliament, we call for papers to be submitted in Parliament. There's nothing like that that has been submitted on the floor of the House through the Departmental Committee of Health. That there's a network for a health system which is costing 104 billion Kenya shilling. You know, there are so many disinformation and misinformation which is being thrown right left the center. For instance, I have seen on the social media people talking about Finance Bill 2025, which is a crazy one. There's not even a single member of Parliament, including Joy here, because he's a member of Parliament, who has seen Finance Bill 2025. No minister who has seen anything like that. So why do you want to peddle street rumors in such a serious discourse, in such a serious debate? That is where we are wrong. We are going wrong when senior leaders in the Republic of Kenya also decide to do disinformation and misinforming Kenyans. But having said that, Kenya Kwanza administration is far on the course, and that's why even the Moody rating has rated this economy as one of the very promising economy.
At the end of the day, gentlemen, you are in the House, National Assembly, Senate. Kenyans wait service delivery and the passing of laws and holding the powers that be and the officers that be accountable. Mheshimiwa Geoffrey Ruku, he is the Member of Parliament from Mbeere North, as well as Joe Nyoto, a Senator for Maringa County, our guest tonight. My name is George Maringa. Thanking you for your patronage and for watching the Daily Report tonight. As always, stay safe and be kind to one another. I'll see you next time.